I've been promising y'all a new at Sephora video for far too long now, and it has given me a chance to get to know these products pretty well, so I guess that's good news. Today, we are going to be using, and I'm going to share some thoughts, some pretty good final thoughts, starting with the Sephora Reveal the Real Soft Radiant Skin Tint. Ooh, ah, I have this in shade 100 and Fair. I'm gonna make a pile. I have the new Rare Beauty powder, and they sent me 3 of these and they all look too dark, but then I used the lightest one and it wasn't. That's too dark. We're going to be using the one that matches me. Popping in here. Do apologize because I thought that they had sent me the farthest end of the lightness spectrum, but there is one shade lighter. So you're gonna watch the whole video and I'm going to talk about it as if these are the 3 lightest shades. And I just don't want any of you to get exasperated by the fact that, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm sorry, I didn't check. I should have checked to make sure that this was actually the lightest shade, but I do think that there probably is a shade for me. You will see throughout the video, I have a pretty rosy outlook on the way that this powder goes on, but I'm gonna include some footage at the end of the day to show you how it wore, because I feel like the color actually was really off and the formula itself is not really for my skin type. So either way, I just want to give you all that heads up so that it's not like really confusing. I have the new bronzer from Ilia. I have this in the shade Eclipse. You can tell, you know, none of this is a first impression. I have 2 of the new Fenty Blushes. Got a lot of thoughts on these too. I got Sundressed Season, hello, and Bacon Cakes. I also picked up the new Fenty Glow Gloss Bomb Stix. And I've only used this like once, but it has the Fenty lip smell, which, you know, I kind of expected, but I forgot how much I hate it. But I think that at least those are going to satisfy so much curiosity that's been circulating in my comments. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start with my NARS primer here. This is the Light Reflecting Hydrating Primer. I haven't done any skincare this morning, but I did use, okay, so for the first time in ages, I pulled out the Resurfacing compound from U Beauty, which I feel so bad because they sent it to me and I'm lucky enough to like have gotten it for free. It's a pretty pricey product and I do have a code with them, but I haven't been able to use any actives until I figured out how to actually solve and continually remedy any perioral dermatitis that I might get. And y'all know I found that in the form of that lovely, you know, basic moisturizer from First Aid Beauty. So last night, I've been kind of slowly introducing actives, but last night I used it for the first time and I was like, why is this red when I woke up? And then I was like, oh, it's completely gone. Like all of my blemishes are a little bit more red because they're gone. It like eviscerated them. And with no irritation, I am mind blown about this stuff. Like look at, I just woke up and my skin looked like this. It looks like tight and glowy. I haven't touched it and it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. NARS primer, because, you know, it's my responsibility to continue to test things that are relevant. And I think that this is still considered relatively new. And I do like it. I have to say, I like the primer more than I really give a crap about the setting mist. The setting mist is fine, but it is not as good as like, you know, MAC Fix Plus. MAC Fix Plus will always be the one. She's that girl. I have a sponge here and we're going to go in with the Reveal the Real. This is one of the first products in a while that I have bought from Sephora Collection, but I do have a history of really, really liking Sephora Collection. I'm very impressed by their offering because, you know, they just have lower overhead. They can do more experimental things. So you end up a lot of times with them being a little more nimble in terms of creating products that are very current. And also they will come out with colors that are a little more adventurous than the other brands because they don't have to please Business Daddy. They are Business Daddy. And so I always kind of shirked them. I was just like, you know what I mean? Like it's a house brand, it's a generic brand kind of thing. I was like, how good could it really be? And there are so many kinds of products that are on the market that are not particularly like difficult to formulate, like an eyeliner or an eyeshadow crayon or a lip gloss, like things like that, where, you know, I think that base products are a little bit more like personal, but the kinds of products that are, again, like sort of just crowd pleasing, like does an eyebrow pencil function? Yes, you know, I don't want to pay too much for it. Sephora collection is so reliable for that. I love their 12-hour waterproof eyeliner. I use tiramisu a lot because it's like the color of my eyelashes. And I love those eyeshadow crayon stick things. They are great. They are great. And so the only thing about them is like their brushes are not inexpensive. So you'll go in there being like, ooh, Sephora collection price point. And then you look at their brushes and you're like, nope, that's just a professional brush price point. But they're really nice. They're really, really nice brushes, but they are not like affordable the way that the makeup is. I do recommend using a sponge for this, and I really love the finish on it. And you saw it looked a little bit light compared to my skin, but I think it's important to match the undertone, and also I have so much pigmentation that it looks like my skin is darker than it is. So we're not trying to match my freckles and like my melasma, we're trying to match the skin that's underneath it to whatever extent. So I think that that's a pretty good match. I'm gonna use a different concealer, something that I can usually actually rely on. So I am grabbing my JOUER here. I love this stuff. It's, you know, old as the hills. I mean, as a product, not this particular tube. High coverage liquid concealer, because we don't have a new concealer to try today. And a lot of people have been asking me about my final thoughts on the Danessa Myricks, and I kind of gave my final thoughts, but I am gonna do a big final thoughts roundup on a bunch of the stuff that I've been trying, probably like since, I don't know, last few months at least. And I will tell you, the Danessa Myricks one is nice, but it's really, really hard to unseat my concealers. I think that the Danessa Myricks one is just made for just different needs, a different skin type than mine. It's just a little bit too dry on me. It's a little bit less adaptable. And that's just because I have extraordinarily dry skin. I am going to start with the cream bronzer because it is a cream, and then we'll go in with like the setting powder, and then we'll go in with powder blush. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all, the Ilia, I don't really like it. It really doesn't do anything for me. It's very shimmery. The thing that I found to be really appealing about this was that online the shades looked really interesting. They looked uncommon. That lightest shade looked really rosy. And it is, but it's got so much shimmer to it that, like, what is the point? I really feel like this era of color cosmetics, at least like what's at Sephora, you know, is that supposed to happen? Is that supposed to happen? Does it have a detachable mirror? Is that like, I don't think that that's a feature. I think that that's a flaw. It's like I said, remove background, and it went, it won't go back in.
That's what she said.
Okay. I'm expecting the pan to fall off. Anyway, Ilia, what the hell? A lot of stuff that's coming out right now has a ton of shimmer in it. And it's like, by the time you've got shimmer bronzer on and shimmer blush on and then highlighter, you know what I mean? Your whole face is just one big mica pile. And mica, I don't know. I mean, I think that there are different kinds. Like you can have like pearlized mica or like other kinds of mica. I'm not sure, but like it depends on the particle shape, whether it's gonna like refract light in a really flattering, blurring way, or whether it's going to accentuate texture. And then, you know, you'll see on deeper skin tones a lot of times, the mica of it all doesn't just do those things, it also goes on really chalky and ashy. And that has been the case with the Fenty blushes because, you know, she is very well known, Miss Rihanna, for making products that work really well in every skin tone. You know what I mean? She's really informed about that kind of stuff. And this is a line, a release, where the Black community seems to be pretty unanimous in the fact that this is a belly flop. And that's just so, I don't even know why I was holding it open. I can just keep it closed and use it. Wow. So I feel like the mica era is confusing for a lot of us. I mean, maybe it looks nice on like perfect skin, but that's just not, I would rather have a choice. Like I would rather it not be shimmery and have the choice where to put shimmer. I would much rather use, you know, the Makeup by Mario. It's a gel texture, it's really beautiful on the skin, and it doesn't have shimmer. Let's pull out the Rare Beauty powders here. I will swatch the first three for y'all. The way That pan is just sitting open right now. I am so sorry to all the Virgos. I'm just gonna put that back there so that it doesn't just collect nonsense. I feel like I'm even nervous about it. It just looks bizarre. Sitting there closed but open. So the lightest shade is Ivory, I think. That's the lightest shade that they sent me, and it works, it does, but it doesn't look like it's going to, you know? But once it goes on, it's fine. But I'm also not the lightest skinned person in the world. So I know that there are plenty of people, I think Allie Glines, maybe a couple other people have found that it didn't work for them at all. So this is natural. It's gonna have a little bit more peach, I think, maybe? It's hard to tell. And then I have here light beige. Those are, you know, just getting slightly deeper. They do have coverage. Nikki LaRose was like talking about how this is a powder that you don't want to use to soak up moisture. Like, don't put it on a wet face. It's more of like a finishing powder for blurring purposes. And I'm very like, well, that's good news for me because I don't want anything to soak up a bunch of moisture anyway. So hopefully just using it on its own, I hope I'm not missing the point. She knows so much about that kind of stuff, but I think that like this is going to, I mean, I've used it. I expect it to kind of work like the KOSAS, you know, where it adds a little bit of coverage. It mattifies without oil control, and that's what I'm looking for. So, and it's very blurry. You can tell, like, it's very, very blurry on the skin. I kind of like that it is a little closer to my skin tone than that JOUER concealer shade is. That shade is Creme, by the way, because I feel like the less contrast there is, as long as, you know, I'm staying within my natural skin tone values. So like less I have to do in terms of putting on other makeup. Like I don't feel like I have to keep exaggerating the contrast. If y'all haven't watched my contrast video, it's the one that's like the biggest secret that no one talks about. You know, the video that's like at the top of my page when you open up my channel, and for good reason. It's the one that people really seem to find very, very helpful. So I'm a low contrast person. Starting to over accentuate the contrast on my skin is a dangerous game to play. So I like that that kind of reduced the contrast. I'm not sure that was like the perfect brush to use for it. It's not very kicky-uppy, you know what I mean? So it's like really, really like strongly pressed. I don't really know what that means. It just, you know, I just wanted to tell you. Let's swatch these Fenty blushes because I am also quite confused as to why they are so chock full of mica, because they don't look like they're going to be when you're looking at them in the pan. They just have a color to them. It looks like it's going to, you know, maybe have dimension to it, but it doesn't look like it has some kind of spray over or something. And look at those colors. They're gorgeous, especially this one. I love that kind of like in-betweeny mauvey beige color. So I am gonna start with that, but even on me, I feel like in order for them to achieve opacity, they went with something that was quite light. It's not something that is adaptable to a lot of different skin tones. It's gonna show up that color in like its lightest form on a lot of people, and I've seen it in action do that. So granted, these might not be kind of like the deepest shades, but like Drama Class, the Pure Purple is a very famous shade in Fenty. It actually got discontinued, then everyone freaked out, and so she brought it back in the cream blush, and she put it out in this line, and then I watched Gloria try it, and I mean, it was just ashy. One good. So I am going in with the Pro Powder 50 brush from Sephora collection here, and I'm going in, yeah, with Bacon Cakes. That was the one that I like that's like really beige. It's got a lot of pigment. I think that that's what's what's kind of weird about them, is that they are pigmented, they build quickly, but they're kind of ashy. So it's like, you would want something that stayed thin on the skin if it had that much like weird opacity to it, kind of a gray opacity to it. But like even on my skin, as it builds, the mica in it starts to make it look kind of gray. Do you see that? It's like a little bit muddy, and it's such a pretty color, it's a shame. Here we have Sundress Season. I mean, you know, this is gonna be a blush heavy look. I don't have a new anything for the eyes, I don't think, so it's just gonna be a lot of blush today. And honestly, you know, on top of the cream bronzer, it is making, tenuously so, it could get muddy quickly or like mucky, but it's making a nice blurred effect on the cheek. But at the same time, it's like, it's so made up looking instantly because it's just so obvious. Like there's something about it being shimmery that just goes on. It does not look like a natural flush of anything. It just looks so stark. And I know it looked like I put a lot on, but I promise, like, that was what it wanted to do, you know? Like there was no like gentle dusting. It wants to be opaque. So that's what I did, for better or worse. I'm gonna use a little bit of my Hermes powder just to kind of like seal the exits here, because I feel like, you know, we're still really contrasty. So I use this bronzer Totori to sort of bridge that gap. Okay, let's talk quickly about this here from Miss Rihanna. There are so many brands coming out with tinted lip balms right now. It is the thing. We've talked about this in the past, how like the trend spotters, they're telling all the brands that what people are into right now is non-lipstick lip products, and so that's what we're getting. And so everybody and their dog has come out with a tinted lip balm. So I'm gonna put this on and then we'll see if I kind of want to do a lip liner with it, because I can always wipe it off. It's not like it's like color adjusting or something that's gonna stain my lips. And I got it in the original, the Fenty Glow. I like this color, I think it's pretty, but I really, really hate the smell and I hate the way that it tastes. It's a very highly pigmented tinted balm. It's a fruity smell. I cannot be the only person who finds it gross. I don't think we need a lip liner. It's really pretty, it's really juicy looking. I kind of wish that I had gotten one that was like a little bit more orange, but I think it goes well with this face of makeup. On my eyes, I'm gonna do something really chill because I feel like we do have a lot going on everywhere else. So I'll figure something out. I'll be back with you in a minute and we will kind of talk in depth about these products and give you my final thoughts. That's pretty, you know, again, we're very, very blush heavy today, but I think that that's pretty. I want to go through and kind of talk about what is supposed to make these things special real quick, especially the skin tint. I think that the skin tint is something where it's like, okay, why Sephora? Why are we supposed to care about your skin tint when there's, you know, other skin tints out there? So let me read about that real quick. It's $22. That's a reason to care. That's the same price as Physicians Formula at this point, okay? Comes in 20 shades. Liquid formula, natural finish, radiant finish, natural radiant finish, light coverage, vegan. A lightweight serum-like texture tint that offers the perfect combination of a radiant blurred finish while rapidly correcting the appearance of uneven skin tone. I mean, it's not claiming to do anything out of the ordinary, but it's also not going to threaten you with a bunch of skincare ingredients that might do something weird. You know, it's not like niacinamide out of nowhere. Yeah, no, it's a really short ingredient list too. I mean, granted, they're all like chlorophenicin CL7, you know what I mean? But like still, it's a short list. Either way, I mean, at $22, it's just as good as anything that you might pay for that same price point. I mean, it's really, really nice, especially the fact that I have dry skin. I don't think that it's my favorite thing in the world. And like, of course, I'm gonna be a huge snob about the fact that like, oh, I would rather pay a little bit more and get Lisa Eldridge, which is, you know, more than twice the price. But as these things go, it's skin tint. You can get pretty good skin tints at the drugstore, but they'll probably set you back about the same amount. It's a very uncomplaining product. It's not incredibly special, but at the same time, things that are trying to be really special right now are kind of a high stakes game. So we sort of expect Sephora Collection to put out something that's just like squarely in the middle of good. I will say the Fenty lip, I know I'm going out of order here, but the taste is not as bad as the gloss is. The smell is the same as the gloss bomb, but once this is on, it feels like it has a little bit more of like a sealed finish on it that I don't taste it. So it's a really, really pretty formula. It's got a lot more tint to it than a lot of the other, because y'all know I've tried like every other tinted lip balm on the market. It's got a lot more color to it. It's really comfortable to wear because I do feel like it locks down, like it has a lot of grip to it, which I like. The color is really, really even. It looks juicy. And I just feel like it's really comfortable to wear. I actually am surprised at how much I like it. I was expecting it to put a really nasty taste in my mouth, like literally, and it's not. The scent It does linger a little bit, but nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad as the last one. To the point that I would buy another one. You know, I like the appearance of it and I like the feeling of it enough that I would buy another one. That goes a long way. As far as a powder blush is concerned, y'all, there are so many stinking, I don't have to tell you, there's so many powder blushes on the market. What's the price on this one? I mean, Fenty's not wildly expensive, but it's also not LYS, you know? Fenty Blush. $28. I mean, I did buy all of these myself. And let's see, a NARS blush is, so yeah, it's $34. It's quite a bit more expensive. It's like, what is that, $6 more per blush for a NARS blush, but like, I would recommend a NARS blush over this all day long. I just feel like for the interestingness of the shades, that's what NARS is doing right now. I mean, a lot of these shades are ones that they've had forever, but as they're reformulating without talc and things like that, I just have really gotten to try these again and I'm just very impressed with the formula. That's what I would recommend over these, just because I don't think that like this is uncommon enough that you should spend your money on it. If you do want a blush that has shimmer to it, I haven't tried Angie's on my face yet. I keep saying Angie. Singe Beauty. She's just, you know, Angelica's a friend of mine. So I probably will recommend those, but I have only swatched them. But like LYS makes the most beautiful, flattering cream blush that has iridescence to it, that I feel like the iridescence serves a purpose to make it actually more like flattering and pretty and like dewy looking on the skin. It looks healthy instead of it being this like flat powder shimmer. And this Color Focused, they finally restocked it. It was sold out forever because it's just such a can't put your finger on it perfect everything color. You know, it's just sort of sunburn on anybody, and LYS is going to be quite affordable and very well informed. So I think these are 20 bucks. So I would recommend that if you're looking for a shimmer blush, and if you're looking for a powder blush, you know, pay the extra money and just pick out the one you like from NARS. The Rare Beauty powder is not a run, do not walk situation. I would still recommend the KOSAS over this for my skin type at least. I don't know, you know, plenty of people probably are reviewing this. Rare Beauty is very, very generous with their PR list. So there are tons of people who are going to be trying this and reviewing it. I don't think that I would recommend it for very dry skin. Like, it's fine. It is, but I think come winter, it's gonna really call me out. Whereas the KOSAS powder, it just never fails. And it's just so lightweight. And if you want something that doesn't have any coverage to it, the new Laura Mercier is so good. It's just so good. That's what I would recommend. Again, powders are hard for me. They're kind of like concealers. I just have like a top few that I really like. I like the RMS one too, the new RMS, but either way, that was just not for me. And then the only thing remaining is that freaking weird bronzer. I mean, I think that it kind of goes without saying, like, I've used this now, what, 5 or 6 times? So maybe a little bit more than that, but regardless, the component wet the bed. I still don't know if I can get the mirror back in there. Like, is it possible to get you back in there? Okay, I think it's like a dip and twist situation. Do you know what I'm talking about? So you kind of like do, like maybe it's supposed to come out, but God, they could have made it a little bit more evident, huh? So you do this and then you twist maybe? Okay, no, it doesn't look right. It's all hinky. Yeah, okay, all right. I twisted it and it clicked. Yeah, the thing's still cockeyed. Either way, I think that that was what happened. It's supposed to kind of click into place. Just bear in mind it clicks out of place just as easily. Very strange. Either way, I don't recommend this. On the basis of the texture of the formula. Like, it's a pretty cream, it is, but like, it's not flattering. I don't think it's a flattering bronzer. I don't want to recommend it to anybody with like a flaw to be had in this area of their face. You know what I mean? I don't know this for a fact, but it seems by appearance like the particles, the reflection particles in there are like inconsistent. It's not giving something like really pearlescent and smooth and wet looking, which is what I would want. Like, it's reminding me more of, and I'm sorry to say this, it's reminding me more of the KOSAS Glow IV, which is a horrible product, than it is reminding me of like any good bronzer in my collection. And it might just be my preference because I do prefer a bronzer that just doesn't have shimmer in it at all. But I have met bronzers that have like a nice shimmer to them that blurs, like the RMS loose powder bronzer. Is it loose? No, it's in a pan. Either way, that thing is awesome. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but like, it was a really good shimmery powder bronzer. It does exist, it can be done, but like, it's a dangerous little ocean to wade into, if you will. So either way, I mean, there's a reason that this thing is panned now for the 2nd time, and there's just a wide world of bronzers that are not this difficult to get something lovely out of. And I will say, for what they showed me online, this just kind of disappoints. Like, it's really not anywhere near as unique of a shade as they showed online. That's just a pure gold. I didn't even really mention like how different that is from expectation. It really looks like, and I wish the brands wouldn't do this, but it really looks like they have a filter put over the photos of the product online, like in the swatches and stuff, or even in like when they're holding the pan, it looks like it's been kind of like soft rosy filtered. What's the point of doing that, y'all? Like, do that on your Instagram, be like, ooh, ah, but like if you're showing it to somebody who's just buying it, show the reality of it. I don't understand why that's something that we have to ask for. Anyway, that is my rant for today. On my eyes, I did end up using Blaze from Hourglass, and then I just topped it off with the brown that is in the YSL 300 palette. Wow, do I use this thing a lot. I use this thing so much, and they just came out with one that is for deeper skin tones, or at least it looks like it is, and it's a mix of warm and cool. So like, deep skin tones rejoice. Like, I think that it's gonna be really good. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. If it's ashy, let me know. You know, I will rescind what I just said, but like, very exciting because I adore this product. I adore it. I have 3 of them, but I really, really love this colorway the most. So, okay, I'm done jibber jabbering. I hope this was helpful for y'all. New at Sephora. I just made another big fat order from Sephora, so there'll be more of these coming. I also have a bunch of indie beauty that I need to try. Not like indie. I'm definitely not the authority on that kind of thing, but like stuff that's not sold at Sephora or Ulta. I understand that people don't think that like Mob Beauty is an indie beauty company. Okay, you know, fair. I have some stuff from Mob Beauty. Honest Beauty sent me a bunch of stuff. Like, I completely forgot how good their blushes are. I've been using them a lot lately, and they came out with new shades and they're dynamite, and they come in tins now. They weigh a ton. They're awesome. I have the Tier, the red guy here. The new Bloom Effects blushes are sitting right over there, and I have Angie's blushes as well, her powder blushes. So all really cool things to look forward to. If that sounds fun to you, then go ahead and subscribe. Obviously, we'll be getting into more curriculum and stuff going forward too, but I am really playing catch up on new releases and stuff that's actually coming out right now. I ordered the Patrick Ta Foundation today on early access, so look forward to that. Again, subscribe so that you don't miss these things. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll put a video up here that I think you'll enjoy if you liked this one. I love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!